There are any number of reasons you might consider selling your home. To move closer to family, live within a smaller budget, or just wanting a change of scenery. Whatever your reasons, having to figure out all the various housing market trends in your area may not be what you signed up for. That's where an agent who is a realtor comes in. Realtors have the expertise to help you find the right price and navigate the process to sell your home in a way that's right for you. That's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Hey, I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, in celebration of International Guitar Month, Pete Townsend of The Who will join us.
Pete went deep with us into his relationship with the guitar and with music in general, the new Broadway version of Tommy. He clarified the status and the future of The Who, and much, much more.
Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm right in front of my front step, thinking of a plan, looking like Raggedy Ann or throwing hand, kicking a can.
What's up, everyone? This is Tim. Welcome to the library. Once again, we're going to go outside the library to speak with one of the legends of this rap game, Kool G Rap. So one of my first interviews was with How to Rap author Paul Edwards, where you write the foreword. And the reason why Paul had you write the foreword is because all those rappers said that you were the most influential part of why they started rapping. So I'm wondering, do you hear that in today's rappers? If so, which ones? I mean, how do you feel about, these people saying that you're one of the most influential rappers that's why they started rapping?
I mean, from the dudes that mention my name, the caliber of rappers that bring up G Rap name as one of their main influences. I mean, it's like a big honor to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's overwhelming. You know what I mean? And I just take a lot of honor in that, you know what I mean? Especially with names, like with the likes of Nas, Jay-Z, Eminem, Raekwon, Prodigy, dudes that I really enjoy their craft and I really appreciate their craft and I prop them just as much as they prop me. So to be looked at like that by these names is like, it's really incredible, man.
The one thing that I've always found was kind of interesting is that when you rapped and when Public Enemy rapped and all those guys rapped, you guys were coming out of like Reaganomics. When you did Streets of New York, that was during the Koch period. So I think as we got older, my generation and older, we always knew where you guys were coming from and where you got that, your inspiration from, and we knew why rap began. Like rap was, became as the voice of the voiceless, but rap has been so successful that. Well, I guess what I'm asking is that, can you tell what's fantasy and what's reality in today's rap, and has rap kind of hurt himself by being so successful?
I think it lost its hunger, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, by rap losing its hunger, it kind of lost its soul to me, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's not even just so much just rap, it's like music in general. It just seemed like it just kind of lost its soul, and that's because we're not in the same struggle like we was back then. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I grew up in an era where, like, my mother and other kids' mothers I know, like, they used to clean up white people's houses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And things of that nature. It was a totally different struggle. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to now, like, kids, like, they parents got fairly decent jobs and make good money and stuff like that and live a lot more decent than how we grew up. I mean, we was still struggling. You know what I'm saying? We was like a welfare generation. So it's like totally different, and it shows in the music now. And
how do you think? I mean, how do you think this generation can learn to get that hunger again, or learn to get that creativity again?
I mean, I think they would just have to stop. Just stop trying to repeat what they see in somebody else doing. Like, I think there's too many artists in the game that's just doing it just because they see somebody else doing it, but it's not really coming from the heart.
Right.
It's just like they only see one side of it. They see the jury, the money, the women, and they just see that side of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they forget all about struggle and pretty much rapping about topics that the majority of people can relate to. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody can relate to driving around in a Phantom. everybody can't relate to $100,000, $150,000 worth of jewelry on your neck.
Right.
It's like where's the struggle at? You know what I mean?
Did you ever, when you started out, did you ever picture, or did you ever hope, I guess, for rap to become this popular, or was there something that did you worry that if it became this popular, this would be the result, like what's happening today?
You know what? I really couldn't have put my finger on that back then when I was coming up. You know what I'm saying? But when I did start, I did have plans to want to become popular. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't just strictly to become popular, just to to have money and to be rich or whatever. I mean, of course, that's part of the reason. But my main reason was I wanted to share my talent with the world. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to give the world something what G-Rap could do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think I accomplished that on so many different levels where it exceeded my generation that I came up in, and it went past that, and it trickled on down to even maybe cats in the recent generation. You know what I'm saying? It really wouldn't be a lot right now in this generation because they so detached from what the golden era would have been considered to be as far as hip hop is concerned. But I still get called for features. So that obviously got to tell anybody something. You know what I mean?
When someone calls you up, how do you decide whether you're going to work with this artist or not? Is it anyone, or is it like, do you look at their body of work and see what you can contribute? Do you like to take on those artists that you feel are lacking something and then kind of rap on their track to show them what they're missing? How do you go about working with an artist?
Being that this is my bread and butter too. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how I earn a living. I can't be as particular like that. I would love to.
Right.
And, I would love to sit there and really, pick, choose, and refuse on every single feature like that. But this is how I make a living. So I pretty much just do what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? To keep the lights on and keep roof over my head and things of that nature. But if I had to, if I was in a situation where I was just sit back, pick, choose, and refusing who I was going to work with, of course I would look at an artist. Number one, I would have to feel an artist on a personal level. You know what I'm saying? I would have to feel like this artist is bringing something to the game that G-Rap wouldn't mind combining forces with him for a collaboration. Right. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But, things like that. But it's another side, too. It's like, even if somebody lacks the ability to be as resilient or to be as standout as Kool G Rap is, I'm still honored that people from this generation are still hitting me to do anything with them and paying their hard-earned money. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of it now really is people's hard-earned money because labels are not giving out $500,000 deals like they was doing so much back in the days. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like maybe the late 90s and maybe early 2000s.
And I actually want to get back to one of your old bodies of work was Streets of New York, which I think probably is is one of the anthems for my generation, especially growing up I grew up in Washington Heights, so those are like one of the anthems. And I was wondering, you wrote that in 1988, and it released in 1988 during Mayor Ed Koch, that period, or towards the end of his term. And a lot of people argue that New York has become better. So I was wondering, what would a Streets of New York 2011 look like today, or sound like today?
Wow, it'll be a lot different. It'll be a lot different. Because, like a lot of people, like you said, it did get better. You know what I mean? You don't see as many crack addicts walking around in the street, things of that nature. I'm not saying like it's non-existent, but it's still there to a certain degree, but it's not like how it was in the 80s. Not at all. The 80s was a real hot era. Right. You know what I'm saying? As far as like drugs in the streets and the violence and everything was like at an all-time high. You know what I'm saying? And then just stay secluded just to New York. I mean, it was all the urban neighborhoods across the map, you know, from New York to D.C. to Philly to VA to Chicago to L.A. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was just rampant with crime.
Blind man plays the sax. A tune called the arms on my mom's soul railroad tracks. Many lives are cut short. That's when you're living in the streets of New York.
So what, like now, I mean, you know, you recently came out with our Riches, Royalty, and Respect. What being in the game for so many years, what influences you? Like, where do you get your lyrics from or your inspiration from?
Well, you see, I mean, like I was just saying, the streets is not the same really. And then I'm not the same person I was, you know, more than a decade ago. So I'm not in the streets on a consistent basis like that. Every day I'm running around in the streets and everything like that, or subjected to the same things I was subjected to, you know, years ago. So you see, in Riches, Royalty, Respect, I really had to dig back in the past. You know what I'm saying? I really couldn't go so much on the present times. I had to go dig back in the past. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you see we feel so much of a 70s vibe on Riches, Royalty, Respect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I had to go back.
The album, I mean, it seems like your album process is that you always, no matter which album, and you've had many, you always have kind of a storyline to them. So that my question is, do you think the album itself is a dying form? Because a lot of times it seems rappers are just going for that one-hit wonder single.
Right. I mean, when I was making Riches, Royalty, and Respect, I was knowing that I wasn't catering to exactly what the hip-hop audience of the present times is you know, asking for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't trying to do that. You know what I'm saying? I had to, number one, I don't think I would have been able to do another album unless it would have came from deep within my soul. You know what I'm saying?
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't want to just sit there and rap about anything. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have the energy in me to do that.
Right.
So this album was strictly for G Rap fans, underground hip hop fans, anybody that appreciate the true essence of hip hop and the grassroots of it, which is storytelling, lyrical, actually being creative, concepts, you know what I mean, things of that nature. Anybody that appreciates that, the grassroots of hip hop, this album was for them.
There's something about your style. I want to kind of compare it to Raekwon. Like Raekwon does something to like the rest of the Wu members that I think a lot of artists can't do, and that's he makes them step up their game. And it seems like the people that joined you on Riches, Royalty, and Respect had to also step up their game when it came to rapping alongside you. So I'm wondering, are you still able to do you still do what you used to do with I know Big Daddy Kane back in the day, where you guys used to spit verses on the phone together and try to top one another? Or do you still do that, and do you do that with other rappers that join you on the album?
I think anytime I do a feature with anybody and the artist knows that they're gonna have G Rap on the track, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's the artist himself that calls for G Rap to be on the track with him, or if it's maybe the producer and he lets the artist know, yo, I'm gonna have G Rap on this track too. I think that right there, people knowing in general that G Rap is gonna be on the same track that they on, people kind of know. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I gotta come with I gotta bring my A game to the table. You know what I mean? Like how you was mentioning, like with me and Kane back in the days. There was things that me and Kane did where we wasn't really even being competitive with each other. We was just basically, it just turned out to be that way because we was like the two spitters of the camp.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We was those two lyricists, you know what I'm saying, that just spit crazy like that. So every time me and him landed on something together, it sounded like it was a competition, like we might have been going at it. But
okay, this is my last question, I promise. If you stopped rapping today, which album or which song would you want people to know you for?
Oh man, I can't even narrow it down to one album.
Well, you've only had a 20-something year career. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I'll tell you the first albums that come to the top of my head, and the ones I had the most fun doing, and I feel like it's some of my best work. Wow. Wanted Dead or Alive. I mean, Road to Riches too, but Wanted Dead or Alive. Live and Let Die. Roots of Evil. And this album right here, Riches, Royalty, Respect. I think I had the most fun doing these albums because I think the finished product turned out to be exactly what I expected it to be.
Nice.
As far as direction, vibes, and since I'm known for storytelling, being cinematic. You know what I'm saying? Like I really love my cinematic albums. You know what I'm saying? The ones that stand out to be the most visual albums. You know what I'm saying? Those are like my pride and joy right there. Because I mean, I'm a writer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't just limit myself to just being a rapper or a lyricist. I'm overall a writer, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, I'm writing on, 2 movie scripts.
Oh, wow. Nice.
You know what I'm saying? And so the albums that display that writing talent, those are the ones that stand the closest to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I really love writing and creating visuals.
And you know, definitely, I mean, listening to you from when I was younger to now, you definitely create those visuals that I think all of us as rap fans, even just lyrics fans, appreciate so much. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show today.
No, absolutely, man. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That was Kool G Rap. This is Tim Einenkel with another segment of At the Library. Make sure to check us out on rapstation.com and hiphopgods.com.
Lactose and infinite cane. You even pack those spin from the flames. My aim strictly about making that bread pop. Blocks red hot from feds and cops. Looking for rock bottles with red tops. Straight to lead shots with dreadlocks. Infrared dots till a head drop. We flesh spots. Word on the curve is when it came to birds, we spread flocks. No telling when the bloodshed stop. Fly to the sled stop. Cop the latest heavy hop.
A lot can happen between falling in love with a house online and owning it, between imagining living there and breathing in your new home for the first time. Having an advocate who can help you navigate the complex world of financing, inspections, negotiating, analyzing the market, and talking through any anxieties that may pop up, that can make all the difference. That's what the expertise of a Realtor can do for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors and bound by a code of ethics, because that's who we are.
Hey, I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, in celebration of International Guitar Month, Pete Townsend of The Who will join us.
Pete went deep with us into his relationship with the guitar and with music in general. The new Broadway version of Tommy. He clarified the status and the future of The Who and much, much more.
Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.